are going live on YouTube.
I can barely hear you, Frank.
You can't hear me?
Barely. You sounded very muffled.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Better.
Is it better?
Yes.
It's better. That's good. Better is good. We are live on YouTube. Hey guys, welcome to Tamiya Tuesday. Tonight we're going to talk about vintage monster truck. And again, I have Sang Nugan with me, and we have Brad Kalman. How are you doing, guys?
Hello.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Too much rain.
Too much rain? No.
You have lots of rain. I haven't been able to do video because lots of rain.
We should be getting the rain in a couple of days, and if you guys have rain,
We're having a break tomorrow. I mean, it was a break later today, but
Cool.
and it was colder, much colder than it tomorrow. It's going to be
cool.
nice enough to go running.
Cool. So today we're talking about what, Brad?
Tamiyas, trucks.
Yes. Trucks. Vintage Tamiya trucks. So we'll start
vintage.
with Midnight Pumpkin, the Lunchbox, the Blackfoot, the Super Blackfoot, Monster Beetle, and Clodbuster. Now, out of all of those, Brad, which one came out first? Which is the oldest?
The Lunchbox, I think. Am I right, Shay, saying?
I'd say the Blackfoot.
Oh,
Blackfoot?
well, the Blackfoot. I thought you. I was talking between the the Blackfoot. I thought this. I swear that I thought the 12 scales were before the Blackfoot.
No.
Yes.
Midnight Pumpkin, Lunchbox, Blackfoot, Super Blackfoot, and Monster Beetle and Clodbuster. Which one is the oldest? Me, I don't know. I have no clue. I could look
I
it
think
up.
the Lunchbox. I know the Lunchbox
They're
came
almost
before
about the
Midnight
same
Pumpkin.
time.
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure the Lunchbox came before the Midnight Pumpkin.
Yeah, I know it did.
Yeah.
But the Midnight Pumpkin, unfortunately, is not as popular as the Lunchbox, and I prefer the Midnight Pumpkin. Not that I would not want a Lunchbox, but I would do less hop-ups on it compared to the Midnight Pumpkin, and I'd make the Midnight Pumpkin faster.
I think I like the Midnight Pumpkin as well because it's a truck, monster truck, and monster trucks were very popular in the 80s. Yes, there is the Lunchbox, which is based on the Rolling Thunder, which is that's what the Lunchbox is based on. But monster trucks, like pickup truck, is by far more popular than a van that is a monster truck.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, it's more people do videos on the Lunchbox than they do the Midnight Pumpkin, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's
So I do see a lot more Lunchbox. I'm pretty sure Tamiya sold a lot more Lunchbox than Midnight Pumpkin.
Which is
I'm not sure how many, but you're right. I've seen much more Lunchbox than Midnight Pumpkin.
I mean, they both came with various different adaptations for different colored bodies, but the Lunchbox has the Midnight Pumpkin for different colored bodies coming out of the box, more of them.
Yeah, but the different color bodies, that's more recent.
Man, they sure
Yeah,
came
that is
out of,
more recent.
the Lunchbox had a lot of different versions. Man, did they ever have a lot of re-release on that one?
Yeah, there's about 5 or 6 different colors
Yeah.
for the Lunchbox. I've actually had one time the gold edition that's released about.
That's my favorite.
Blue edition, gold edition. There's the red edition.
I like the red better than yellow.
Wow.
So let's talk about this Midnight Pumpkin. So what can we say about this Midnight Pumpkin?
It's the original. You said it
is. One way you can tell the original, Brad.
Because of the floor.
Yeah. Also, the V8 here is an 8 here. It's hard to see in the camera, but the reissue doesn't have that V8 from the front. Of course, we talk about the Ford, but specifically the Ford in the back here.
Okay.
So the reissue one is just blank. Like this here is just there's nothing here, which to me looks kind of
Unfortunately, they lost the licensing for those, which is unfortunate.
but everybody could tell it's a Ford F-100 regardless, because this whole chassis is as far as I can tell is identical. So you could take a reissue Midnight Pumpkin and buy
It would still
the grill and also buy the rear lift gate, because this is separate from the body.
I think the Blackfoot was the same way. I think the original had a Ford badge in the back too.
Exactly. Same idea with the Blackfoot.
Oh yeah.
So this is painted box art. Midnight Pumpkin. So this is the original. I ran this, I think, once. I always like to show the, well, first, here's the body
Yeah, show the V8 in front. What you're saying there.
right there,
Yeah, now
Yeah.
we see. Good.
right here.
Yep. The re-release does not have that.
It does not have that.
Cool.
And of course, we talked about the back here, Ford. You could see the shine from the paint job.
Yeah.
It's very shiny, considering how dusty this thing is. Now,
I'm hoping you. Oh,
the original body is actually molded in white, but this is painted black. What I really like about this is it has the light buckets. I have no lights on it, but it has the light bucket. And with the old light bulbs, that has like a yellow tint to it, it looks very realistic. So these have light buckets in there, light sockets.
I would like to see you run that.
What's that?
I'd like to see you run it, since a lot of people don't run these too often.
Yep, I'm gonna run this. I really like the detail of the body. It's a hard ABS plastic, quite heavy.
That's also one of the I mean, besides that it's more stable than a grasshopper in the turns.
Yeah.
So the release date on that truck was December 9th, 1987.
Yeah, that would be about a year, maybe two after the Lunchbox. So this is possibly, well, we're gonna get to the Lunchbox. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but yeah, this is definitely after. So you could see there's a. Do you know why there's a cutout here?
For the speed controller, so it gets cooled down.
Close. It's where the resistor.
Oh, the resistor.
Yeah. It is an odd place, but because this was released after the Lunchbox, I guess this is kind of like an afterthought. You know, Tamiya had to make a hole there for the resistor.
Yeah, it dissipated the heat.
Yeah. I also like the clear, semi-clear, but tinted windows or sunroof. It's kind of cool.
I could see Frank driving one of those as well as a real one.
I for some reason I love those old looking pickup truck, whether it's a Ford, Chevy, or Dodge. It's just the looks of it. They look amazing. Like it's quite unlike today's modern truck.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So I won't show too much detail because this is same as the Lunchbox. As far as I know, the chassis, suspension setup, gearbox, everything is identical to the Lunchbox van. The only difference is the body post. The Lunchbox would have sideways, and this is pointing up.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah, there's a side. They put the pins on the side of the truck on the van.
Yeah. So this is kind of reminds you of the Grasshopper. It has a fixed axle in the back.
That technically is pretty much the same axle if you look at it.
It's identical axle. It's identical.
Yeah.
This looks more like a Hornet because it has the this adapter here or for the shock.
Yeah, where it swivels and stuff. It
Yeah.
actually
Swivel.
That monster truck is only 2-wheel drive.
Only 2-wheel
Yes.
drive.
You could do wheelies a lot in it.
And that's why there's a wheelie bar.
Okay.
Right. A lot of people typically break part of this off. I guess what they do a lot of wheelie because it's only mounted. It's mounted on a gearbox. I've been pretty lucky, never broke anything. Probably because I don't run it or run it enough.
Even though it's metal, that looks like it's metal.
But it's where it's mounted onto the gearbox.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually the exact same gearbox as the Grasshopper and the Hornet. Nothing changed. The main thing difference is it has an adapter where the motor is. So this one here, I believe it's a 9 or 11 tooth pinion gear, as opposed to the Grasshopper Hornet. If you put a 540, it's 18 tooth. Because of the bigger wheels and tires, this is geared down to, I think it's 11 tooth. So there's a spacer and pushes the motor closer to the spur gear. But
I've seen people actually get those to move pretty quickly.
oh yeah, they move fast. Now this front arm here is, I'm pretty sure, it could be wrong, but it's the same as the Grasshopper and Hornet.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
essentially you could convert this into a buggy by just changing the chassis. That's the main difference.
Yeah, but you would lose your stability because of the big tires on it.
Yeah,
That's right.
Those front arms looks flimsy.
They look flimsy, but they don't typically break that easily. They're pretty durable.
Yeah, they're like, I think they're around the little circular part that you put it into the chassis where the holes are for it to hold it. They're
Yeah.
like 10 millimeters plastic, Frank.
Yeah, they're very thick plastic.
So they're gonna hold up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Usually you break the hub area, you know, where the tires go on. That's where you break before you break the swing arm.
Possibly, yeah. I think you're right. Right.
So Big Head RC went to his local hobby store and he almost picked up a TT01. But I told him, don't pick up a TT02 instead.
Yeah.
Why do you almost pick up a TT01?
Well, I told him to try building a Tamiya kit.
Yeah, you should. Everybody should. I don't care. It's just because they've been around so long, and that used to be the stable of the day back in the day.
Yeah. So I told him, get a rally car or get a TT02 Type D, like that. It comes with the bearing and it's better adjustments, and he can make a little drifter out of it. Cool. Let's keep talking monster truck.
So let's so this is the so I'll show you the just for comparison, the Lunchbox. Come on. You gotta love these really long antenna.
Yeah, you still have all the old electronics on there. It's original.
I do have the original Futaba attack radio. So let's try and find some room here. So next on the agenda is so this is what Brad was saying. There's a lot of videos. A lot of people have the Lunchbox.
I think one of the reasons also why it was more popular because they could do so much with the side of the van.
Yeah, advertisement. Which, like I said, my other one I did it like an ambulance, and I got the monster mutt from the Dumb and Dumber. So a lot of people would display advertisement for their company or their favorite company, their favorite paint
Or
job.
they put a mural on it.
There's so much you can do.
Yeah, I've seen murals done on the side of those.
Yeah. So I must say this is not the original Lunchbox, unfortunately, or fortunately. This is actually my running. I actually run this thing, believe it or not. And to me, for if you're running it, it's better to get the reissue. It's just because the plastics are newer. It hasn't been sitting around for like 30 years or 40 years or whatever. So this is the reissued. And here's the body. Yeah, and it's a hard plastic. These bodies are fairly durable. I mean, I've seen the Lunchbox flipping that, and they could take quite a lot of abuse, given the fact that they're a hard plastic. They still have a little bit of flexibility. Excuse me. I don't know where they tip. Oh yeah, I've seen one actually crack around on the roof here.
Oh, that's rare. I've rarely seen one crack up there.
Yeah, possibly it probably hit something, rolled, or something hit really, while it was rolling. But it's overall durable. Right, so this one here.
And they're 12 scale. Don't forget, both these cars are 12 scale. The pumpkin and this are 12 scale.
That is correct. So this is the reissue. Not much difference. Mainly the reissue. I mean, it's still the same mold they use for the chassis. So I could put a mechanical speed controller in here if I want to, and I could put the servo in here as well.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, but the fact that I'm running this, there's no reason I should put a mechanical speed controller. It's just really bad for the car. So we already talked. So this has upgraded. I don't know who makes these shocks. They're pretty much generic, but they are oil shocks. Oh yeah,
I forgot some 20 millimeter.
I'm not sure, but you can see this one here does pivot.
Okay.
Which is good because if you turn on the corner, as opposed to having a fixed, so this will have fairly good handling, and it has oil shocks. But regardless, it's still going to bounce just because of the short wheelbase. And I find the shocks are pretty stiff. And you got to love this. Look at this, how much the wheel tilts.
Yeah, the camber, yeah. How much?
Yeah, believe it or not, you could see them lean in the corner without flipping a lot. I've seen that happen. They don't flip when you think they're going to flip.
For what it is, this is fairly stable. This one has a sport tune motor. So it's a little bit faster than the silver can motor.
Bob's RC says, no offense, but it looks too Toys R Us for me.
It does. But again, from 1980,
you got to realize these things are well over 20 years old, and back then it was like cool technology to actually come out.
Try 35 years.
Yeah, true.
This would have came around 86 or 87.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
87, 23rd of June 1987.
Now you have to understand that most of the cars back then are kits you have to build.
Yep.
Like if you go to a hobby shop, like 9 out of 10 are either completely like a kit they have to build, or they would have about maybe 70 or 80% complete. So those are a typical what you'd find back then. And go ahead.
You think they may look Toys R Us, but they're hobby grade because you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, if you compare to toys grade back then, these plastic, they're this one step better. They're pretty stiff, but they will take more of an abuse. Like the toy grade, like Radio Shack back then, I find the plastic are more flimsy, and also there's more play. Like they don't have bearings, and like this one here. Well, I built it with ball bearings, but everything is pretty tight.
Cool.
Right. So toys are more flimsy. They don't have much travel, suspension. They're more stiff. There's no adjustment. There's nothing you can do. The only way this kind of reminds of toys is because of the plastic. Oh, and also
you can make it look less toy-like. I think they used to make some aluminum rims for them too.
Yeah, I think the company is Sees or SEES, but they're really nice. if you could find them. They're very hard to find, aluminum rims for the original ones. And kind of think about it, there's not much upgrade, right, Brad? I don't think there's much upgrades you could do besides the bearings and the oil shocks.
And the motor.
I mean, yeah, that's the obvious things. But in terms of upgrades, there's not a lot of upgrades you could do with this back then.
Actually, you could. I've seen people take a DT01 rear end and put them on the back of those. Gives it a wider stance in the back. As well as the gearbox is different. So the gearbox also comes with, if I'm not mistaken, comes with full, the internals. I was going to bring this up with you. My DT01 has metal internal diff gears. So you could make the gearbox more sturdy. So you can do more upgrades. I've seen someone actually run a video where he has the DT01 rear end in the back.
All right.
Also makes it faster.
Cool. All right, so let's move on to the next one.
Let's finish off with the Lunchbox. Show me the other Lunchbox you have, the other bodies, real quick.
The other body.
Because you have an ambulance.
Yeah. So this is the also, actually, this is the original. All right, so just confuse things a little bit. This is actually a Midnight Pumpkin that I bought online, and then I decided to put a Lunchbox body.
Okay.
I mean, you can't tell because it's virtually the same. The reason this is the original one has the CVA. These are really old shocks. That's what typically were used back then for oil suspension or oil shocks. And I decided I saw somebody posted on a Tamiya club, or I think that's the forum, had an ambulance body. So I was inspired.
Cool.
And I did the same thing. So this is a reissued body. So
Does that have your last name on it?
Sorry?
Does that have your last name on it?
My last name?
Yeah, it looked like a Lugan Medical or something.
No. Actually, this one here is from a movie from the 80s. I never seen it. I think it's called Cannonball Run.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That does say Transcon Medic. If you Google it, you'll find the same type of paint job, except the van on that movie has windows, I think, all the way around, but the exact same design. This is the other Lunchbox, and I've showed you guys this already. Of the no introduction.
Now, in the chat, from what movie is that body from?
This here?
Yeah, I asked for in the chat so people can actually put it in the chat.
Oh, I just said it, but I said it quickly. Just kind of gives it away.
Yeah.
But that ended up becoming an actual monster truck. They still use it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different, the monster truck, yeah.
So essentially this body here had a terrible paint job on it.
Okay.
And I decided to cheat a little bit and just instead of repainting it, I did this.
They're Nitro Free, Dr. Hyde and Nitro Freak and Bob's RC all put down Dumb and Dumber. And so
That's
did
correct.
It looks like you had a light set on there too, you hanging from it.
Yeah, this was already there. I was too lazy to take it off. So it doesn't do much. It just kind of shines and it kind of stops right there. Oh yeah, this is made out of styrene. I mentioned I had to extend it a little bit to make it look like it has a nose.
Oh, you did a good job.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So should we move on to what's the next vehicle?
The next
Blackfoot
one is going to be the Blackfoot.
All right. So this is the Blackfoot.
Now, this is the oldest one of the gang.
Yes, they still make it today. I have one in my hobby store that I could buy if I had the money.
This was produced, release date was 8th of October, 1986.
Now this is the same body from 1980 or 1979 Ford F-150 XLT.
Step side. They call it the step side.
Yeah, but the same, like this body was made by Tamiya. The original mold was made in, I think, 1979 or 1980.
Cool.
So the original one, of course, we mentioned has the Ford in the back. The new one doesn't, due to licensing. I am missing a rear glass here.
And they made 3 different versions of that car.
The Blackfoot?
Yeah, there was a Blackfoot that ended up having a different chassis too.
Yep, I have a super Blackfoot. I'll show in a second.
There was one that had the independent rear suspension, different from the trailing independent.
Yep. Yeah, the super Blackfoot.
3 or
Blackfoot 3. There was a Blackfoot 3 in 2012.
Right.
Yeah, that had a totally different chassis.
Yeah.
Blackfoot QD also in 92.
So this is the, just take this off here. So here's the chassis. I did, because this is also a runner, this is actually upgraded shocks.
Okay.
From the new Blackfoot. So it's oil shocks.
Now those are pretty weird laid down shocks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a cantilever. It's a cantilever, Frank.
Don't say that word too loud. Traxxas is going to sue us.
No, Tamiya has the right to sue them because they used cantilever later in their vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, so this design would have came out from the Subaru Brat about 1984.
The frog and the frog.
And the frog.
It's the ORB chassis. They call it the ORB chassis.
ORV, yep. Just while I have it, this is an old Futaba speed controller. Futaba used to make really good speed controller back in the day.
Cool. Was that the C2 CB210 or
112? It's MC11. No, MC112B.
Oh, that's different because I had the 210s and the 310s. The 310 had to take up a hotter motor.
So Dr. Hyde says, so Traxxas didn't do cantilevers first. No, they did not.
No, they did not. Tamiya did them first.
Yeah,
Tamiya started them in 1990, 84, because that's when the frog came out, wasn't it? 84, 85?
Yeah, but their system is way different than what this is, because their system has like a middle knuckle, and that one does not. The frame at the back is actually one piece going up to the shock. There's no knuckle there like there is on the Traxxas one. Because if you look at a piece of plastic, it's part of the shock and it goes all the way up to the shock.
A lot of people don't realize that Tamiya had a lot of innovations, and that was just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really, really like this body. The hard plastic.
Cool.
It is painted. I spray paint it, did it myself, so it's not as shiny as the other bodies. Because I don't think you should leave it black plastic. It looks a lot better painted. It still has a little bit of a shine.
I've seen people use those for crawlers. I've seen that body on a crawler. People have taken that body and put it on a crawler.
I could see that happening as well. So since we're on the Blackfoot and time, I'll show you the Super Blackfoot, which is a bit rare.
Trail Crawler RC says, I'm getting the OG Frog and Hornet from my brother. Cool.
Now, you see this?
That's a nice paint job.
Thank you.
The bronze and gold.
Yeah. So this here, at first glance, you think it's a original Blackfoot. But then what throws you off is how come this shock is vertical?
Upright.
That's true.
Oh,
They
yeah.
made 3 different chassis for it. They made 3 different chassis for
This is actually clay or mud that I ran about 5 years ago.
it.
It wouldn't come off. Now this Super Blackfoot would have came out. Sorry, I'm gonna try to balance this here. This Super Blackfoot would have came out about early 1990s or late 80s. Might be 89, 90-ish. I don't know when exactly, but this came out a few years later.
3rd of December,
And you know what?
1992.
Oh, 1992. There you go. So
And look, and now they have 3 different chassis for it. The one you showed, original one, that one, and then there's the 3rd one, which is different than that one also.
So the body is very similar. This is when they lost the license.
So there you go. You see a picture of the chassis here.
Yeah. As you can see, they don't have the Ford emblem because this was 1992, as you said.
Regardless, all the chassis are great looking for the vehicle. They do their job. They had increased handling with that one, and then the next one had better handling than that one.
Yeah. So I'll take this body off here. So it looks virtually at first glance, it looks like it's the original Blackfoot. But again, it's missing the Ford up here.
Yep.
But as far as I can see, it's pretty much the same body. Now, the interesting part is the chassis itself. So this is kind of like a hybrid of the old design. Like you look at the chassis,
Yep.
and now that I look at it, I think it's exact same chassis. They haven't changed it.
But they changed the front end and the rear end on it.
Yeah, so they made the front arms here, it's hard to see here, longer. So there's more
Track width.
more travel,
Okay.
There's also more track width. I think it's wider.
wider as well.
So it made
Yeah,
it more
it's a
dirt.
bit-
It made it handle better around the corners.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely wider. And this kind of reminds me of a TT or TL01 a little bit, the rear arms here. So as far as I can see, this is the same from a early 80s or mid 80s design, ORV chassis, as far as I can see. Yeah, they still have, this normally opens. However, it's open on this side here, so the battery pulls out instead of from underneath.
See, Frank, they took an existing chassis and made it new again by putting new parts on it. It's a new, totally different chassis again.
Dr. Hyde says it looks like Traxxas shock tower.
It does. And
Well-
they move away from the hex or the dry shaft.
Okay.
So this is when they use dog bones.
Cool.
And completely different gearbox. And that's about all I can see that is different. So basically, Super Blackfoot, a little bit better handling than the other Blackfoot, a little more
Still
updated.
just good looking. The chassis still just as good looking as the other one.
Yeah, just the cover goes there.
Cool.
And also the wheels has changed. Now it has the hex. The other one does not have the hex.
Oh yeah.
So you could actually put more, like Traxxas wheels will fit on this. It's a 12 millimeter hex. If you decide to put the Traxxas wheels on. And I believe the front one, well, it doesn't have hex. It has just a bearing,
Mhm.
but I'm sure you could put other wheels on there as well.
Cool.
The Super Blackfoot.
Congratulations, Trail Crawler RC. He says he just hit 110 subs. Good job. Next one
I
is
had
the
208.
All right. So what's next on the agenda? Oh, the Monster Beetle, eh?
Monster Beetle.
All right.
The Fall Guys
And they've had-
was a Chevy.
They've had 3 different. I think they have 3 different bodies for this too. The most recent is the black and gold edition.
Yeah.
And
The
you can put MIP things in this axle in the back. You can upgrade the axle to an MIP.
You could, and also Thorpe as well. Well, MIP is the newer version of the Thorpe. The Thorpe was the best transmission you could get back in the 80s. MIP also been around for a long time. So for the reissue or the original ones, you could put MIP, which is a ball diff. You'll need to change the dry shaft to dog bones or universal dry shaft.
Now this truck was made released in December '86.
Same as a Blackfoot, or maybe a few months later.
It's still popular today. It's still popular today.
I do remember because my first Tamiya was the Blackfoot, and this is a true story. When I went to Ottawa, I grew up outside of Ottawa. I remember in the hobby shop, I still remember up to today is the exact price. The Blackfoot was selling for $199 Canadian, and this was selling for $249. That is a huge difference back in the 80s, especially when you're delivering newspaper.
Yeah.
So $249 versus $199. So $50 difference. Do you know why there was about a $50 difference between the two?
Nope.
Because this has oil shocks. The Blackfoot has just the friction shocks.
Okay.
So these are automatic upgrades to the Blackfoot. I don't think it came with bearings, so it'd be the same thing. And it also have upgraded, well, depending on how you look at it, these have pin spike tires.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a pin chevron.
Yes. And it has the chrome gold rim. They're still plastic, but they're chrome plated. And another upgrade, it has the rear skid plate bumper.
Cool.
Right? But is that $50? Is that worth $50? Which translate to today's dollar? You know, you're probably looking about 100.
When you watch them around the track, you see the difference in handling too.
Absolutely, because it's oil shocks. And also, if you were to race, this would handle better because it's a lighter body.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is the Monster Beetle. I think it's a cool looking truck or Beetle.
And the body post is one in the front and two on each side. One on each side, sorry.
So it's the same as a Blackfoot, except the top part, instead of going up, is on the side.
Yeah.
Right. Now the reissue Monster Beetle body is almost identical, except for some reason it has a hold right here for the mirror. So they use it as the same as a reissue Sand Scorcher. As far as I can see, the new Monster Beetle body is the same thing except the hole, from my experience. And of course, the sponsor decals are different.
Mm-hmm.
These are original. I mean, there's not much here, but the decals are a little bit different. And also the decals, a lot of people wouldn't notice, but the lights are different as well, the decals. All right, so what's next on the agenda?
There's only one left.
All right.
The Clod.
Save the best for last.
The Clodbuster.
All right. Well, I just noticed
The
something.
yellow Clod. It's the color of a lunchbox.
Now, can anybody in the chat tell me which year the Clodbuster was released? In the chat, not in the panel here, but I want to see it in the chat. What year was the Clodbuster released? And you can even go up to the date and the month if you want to tell me. I got it. I found it. Go ahead, Sang.
Frank is doing his research. He's learning a lot about this company, aren't you, Frank?
Sure. Now that's a truck that you just got?
About a month ago, yeah. A little more than a month ago. I picked this locally.
You
What's that?
you find really you really find really good things. I don't know how you do it.
Well, the funny thing is, the person who was selling it was actually selling the hot shot. So I looked at it. I came to pick up the hot shot. And then from that, he said that he has a Clodbuster and he has a grasshopper. So that's why. So I said, Clodbuster? What am I going to do with Clodbuster? But for the price, I said, yeah, I'll take the Clodbuster as well. So
And
this
have
came
you
by
used it?
accident.
You haven't run that yet, have you?
I wouldn't run it the way it is. It needs a little bit of work. It has a mechanical speed controller in there, which I don't want to run it with that. And also I got to do
Put a
something with the
1080.
body.
You put a 1080 in there.
Yeah. So as you can see, it has this speed controller here. Now, I think there was a balloon around this and it melted because you could see some remnants of the
Yeah.
balloon. Now, back in the day, people typically Tamiya on a lot of kit, they come with a balloon.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's a black balloon with that Tamiya logo on it. And it would actually to cover the speed controller. And then at the end of the balloon, you would tie it. The reason they would have that balloon, because it keeps the dust, dirt, sand away from this. Because once when the dirt gets in these contact, the speed control becomes useless. So you don't have the contact. So I could see some of the, maybe from the heat or whatever, or just over time, the balloon melted.
But technically, that vehicle looks like it's in really good shape.
It is, yeah. It doesn't look like it's been ran much. Now this is painted, by the way. Whoever had it before decided to spray paint this to match the body. So I'm not too crazy about that.
Not that way.
I'm not too crazy about it, but I'll live with it. But what I'd like to do before I actually run it is to take it apart completely, inspect every gears, and put it back together correctly. Not that I don't trust whoever built this, but I just rather rebuild it before running it.
Did you buy all 3 cars, by the way?
Yeah, I bought a few other cars with this.
Like the hot shot.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, I had hot shot, but it's yeah. So this just came by accident.
So nobody
now
guessed
you
a date yet,
say
so I'm
you're
going to be
about on-
posting the date in a couple minutes.
Now I'll tell you a little story. I used to race at the local track as a little kid. I think I was around 10 to 12 years old around that time frame. And these the Clodbuster was racing against the Lunchbox, racing against the Blackfoot, Monster Beetle, any trucks, monster truck that was back then. And the Lunchbox would beat this, no problem.
It's lighter.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and that's why the Lunchbox, because the Clodbuster, it's more like, yeah, this is a cool truck, but these trucks were very slow compared to the Lunchbox. But they were racing.
But I've seen races like that. I think it's cool when they do monster truck races.
Oh, I want to point out, these are not the original rims. The original rims are white.
Okay.
This is from the Super Clod. So a friend of mine has the original white rims, which he's going to give them to me. So then this is going to be completely restored and painted box art, which is red.
Even though the chrome rims look good with the yellow.
Yeah.
So nobody had the answers right, but it wasn't 87. But Nitro Freak says, I said 86. I was a year off, but it was still wrong. So
But everybody still loves this truck to this day.
oh
That
yeah.
truck has outlasted every monster truck that's come to beat it. And it still managed to stay current in the sense of people liking
Yeah,
it.
but there's a lot of mods you got to do to it because the steering is very weak on it. So you do have to do the steering mod on it.
Yes.
And the turning mod also. So you got to grind down the side of the, so it turns a little bit more. There is a couple mods to do on it.
Yeah, you have to remove this top plate here, the servos underneath here.
Yeah.
And the servo saver has a lot of play.
Yeah.
So you have to get one of those hot racing or one of those modern servo saver, and you have to get a very, very powerful servo because it's one servo for the four-wheel steering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So it does work. I mean, a cheap Futaba servo works, but it just doesn't work well. And you have to turn while the truck is moving if you use that servo.
I would go with a 30, 35 kilogram for that one.
Absolutely. So that's the thing I want to do is when I have time, I'm going to tear this truck apart. I'm going to take everything apart and I'm going to rebuild it. I'm not even sure if it even has ball bearings in there.
Now here's my Super Clodbuster that I just finished, and I do have a video on it when I build
Black
it.
edition.
Yeah, this is the Black Edition, Super Clodbuster Black Edition. It's got black chrome for the rims. So it's nice. It's heavy. It's a heavy little truck. It's got air in the tires. It's kind of cool.
Even the tires are still
bounce.
impressive to this day.
The what?
The tires are still impressive to this day.
Yeah, they're nice and big and they're very impressive, and it's so nice seeing this thing like jump and having fun, and it acts just like a real monster truck. It's really cool. You do get two scoops with it, a very low profile one, or this one. So I took the biggest one and actually put it on there. So it's a nice. The Black Edition is nice. It's got a lot of chrome. It's got a different graphics than the Super Clodbuster. And the body was all black, so that's kind of cool.
Here's my paint job of this Super Clod.
With the same scoop, the same ram air. Frank, can you put lights on your Clod?
I'm not sure if I will. I think I will. I think
They would look great with the chrome background. They would look good with the lights.
I think it has
A lot
light
of places-
buckets.
What?
I think it does have light buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
And with the chrome, with the chrome, the light will reflect a lot better with it.
Curtis Baker says there is a Black Edition right now on eBay. Well, they are very much available, so your local hobby store should be able to get a Black Edition. They are available. I just picked that one up at my local hobby shop, Great Hobbies. So
I think it's believe it or not, less than $300 US.
Yeah, it's about $400 Canadian, about $350 to $400 Canadian. So yeah, sounds about right.
and it's a fun little truck. And people have a competition with these retro monster truck racing. There's a lot of different places that they actually run these, so it's kind of fun to do.
And to race.
What is it, Brad?
And maybe they could find racing monster trucks.
Yeah.
Vintage racing trucks, vintage monster truck racing trucks.
But it's really interesting, I find, on the Clodbuster how they actually put it together and how strong it actually is. The way they have the arms there on the side, yours are all painted yellow, so you can really see the bracket and actually how it's old. It's actually pretty ingenious what they've done.
Yeah, to be fair, this was from 1987, you said?
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know if all these are original because I'm not the original owner. But as far as what I can see, these red pieces are original because they didn't make the red pieces until the Black Edition. And the Black Edition Clodbuster only came out about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But as you see,
all the parts are the same except for the tub. The tub has been reinforced, but all the other parts are the same as the original.
Yeah.
As you see, it's a 4-link suspension all the way around.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Those are like the side view ones that you talk about, those are like girders. They look like girders that are hooked to a chassis.
Of course, the dual motor. You could upgrade these motors, to go a little faster, but don't need to. I know somebody put in like some Kyosho motors in there, which would work great. But I think the spin directions are different.
I personally would put 20-turn motors on that because I think that's a good compromise for speed and torque.
Yeah.
Hey, Trail Critter.
But I think a lot of the motors are directional. They spin one way faster than the other, except these Mabuchi motor or Johnson motor. I think they spin the same RPM, like let's say 18,000 RPM, both forward or backward.
Okay.
Because these motor are opposite orientation to each other.
Yeah, you got to wire them differently.
Yeah. So if you upgrade motors, you got to make sure that it's not one of those motor that is more directional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hello, Jake. He makes a monster because he owns a Clod.
Yeah, Jake found one in the garbage. He actually found it in the garbage.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned that about a few weeks ago. That was an amazing find.
Yeah.
It's
the original.
Yeah.
Sad and original too. It was also an original one. It has the Chevy badge and everything.
It is amazing what you can find. Like I wish, it's all pure luck, right? Like it's when you least expect it. It's like when I went to a thrift store just a week ago, I couldn't believe I found, a car that works, brushless. So it people don't realize that what you find.
Or you take the old ones that they have lying around and you put hobby grade stuff on them to give them new life.
Yeah, that's just more hassle, I think. I think it's not worth it, but that's just me.
Yeah.
To take a toy to convert to hobby car. I mean, you do it just because you can do it, but it makes no sense to me.
See you later, GD Passer.
Unless it's a well-known toy company and those vehicles are well sought out for. So
true.
Like if you guys want to know anything about Tamiya, a good place to go is Tamiya Base. So you can actually go there and do a search on a certain model. And this is how I found all the models there. And you can see the Blackfoot. They have different version of the Blackfoot. And for some odd reason, this one is in there. It must have something similar to the Blackfoot. But you can see that in 2016, this one is 2011. So there was different versions of them that actually came out throughout the years. So
they also tell you about the Tamiya motors that they used to make.
Yeah,
and give you specifications on the motors.
So when you click on it, you can actually find out the dimension, the tech, the parts, the decals, a lot of different stuff on this. And what's the last year that it was actually sold? And they're talking about this particular model kit number. So when this kit number was actually sold, last sold, there's a dimension, here's a tech tip, and the main body color, which is nice because you want to know and you want to keep it original. Sometimes you want to paint it the same thing. And then you got parts that you can actually buy for them. And then you can actually buy some decals if you can find them. So there's a lot of different things that you can find. And this is where I found all the info on all the trucks that we looked at tonight. What is it, Brad?
You can have them made. There's a lot of people do. There's a company that does really good aftermarket. Original ones. They can bring back the originals. They make them for you. There's a company, I forgot, CSI or CGI or I forget what they call it.
Yeah, but the problem is if you buy an aftermarket product that was made and reproduced to be the same, it's not an original. It's not
an original.
But it's nice that other companies realize that and that they know that a lot of restorers out there are restoring RCs and they're there to do parts and make money and satisfy our needs, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
People also need to know this about Tamiya is that if you look out for kits that are no longer made, they have really good resale value.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that they hold their value more than you would expect.
Yeah, but a lot of people I've seen also that actually sold their Tamiya kits actually regret it. Like a year or 2 or 5 years later, they said, "Oh man, I should have kept it." But
Oh well, that's life, you know. Like if you keep everything, and then where are you going to store it, right? Like there's about 3 or 4 cars that I regret selling, but then I say, hey, you know what? I sold those, but I got these instead.
Yeah.
So there's just at a point where you got to stop, certain numbers. I mean, yes, I like to get all the Tamiya cars, but it's just not possible.
So would I.
Curtis
I would
Baker
like to even
says,
see some of the ones that were made originally.
Curtis Baker says they used to have custom modified motors for them back in the days, and they were matched pair.
Yes. You might still be able to get that. You believe it or not, you might still be able to get a matched pair for this car, the Clod. You just got to ask about it.
But realistically, these 540 Johnson or Mabuchi motor with today's 2-cell lithium battery or LiPo battery, it's fast enough. That's enough power.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing people are real. That's one thing I find this hobby is interesting these days is these LiPo battery. It brings all these cars back to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what, like without the LiPo battery, if we're still running NiCads and still running AM radios, I probably wouldn't get back in this hobby.
That's true.
Right. So that's what changed everything is the radio and the battery. Everything else, like, if I'd love to have all these original kit and just build them, relive my childhood, but using modern electronics. Because the way they were designed back in the 80s, to me, they're perfectly fine. I don't find any problem with them.
Just like finding an original Nikko and seeing how well it would do with a LiPo.
Yeah, but most of the Tamiyas would be able to handle a 2S LiPo the way it's designed.
Yep.
Make sure you build it properly, put enough grease, just carefully build them, but they are strong enough. Like is it Jim who has the Hornet? He put a 3S LiPo in it.
Okay.
Brushless. Is that his name? Who ran A-Brad? Was that?
Yeah, John Martin.
John, sorry. Why do I say Jim? He put a brushless system in a Hornet. It spent half of his time doing wheelies.
Yeah. Now, if you guys want to see the Clodbuster, I just put a link to the video I made. So I don't think I'm going to get a strike on this one because I actually made that video.
Yeah. Look at how all that grass got on there, Frank. For a second, it looked like a lot of grass.
So
did you paint the body or left it the way it was?
I left it black. I did not paint it. It does have a little bit of a shine, but it would have shined more if I would have painted it, but I said nah. So it does bounce a lot. It's kind of cool when you see it go.
Wow, that's awesome slow motion.
My son driving it for the first time. He wasn't too used to it, but he was getting it at the end.
Like that, doesn't he?
That was the first time my dog actually saw a big monster truck, so he was barking at it.
As big as the dog.
So it's a video that's a lot of fun. You can go check it out. The link is there.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Does your son still like playing with it?
Yeah. We played with it a little bit. I want to bring it out more often. I probably will bring it this weekend at the event that we're having.
You remember that? I don't know if you got the video. I don't know if you watched it. I sent you a video where they were doing they were using nitro ones, but you could do it with electric ones. They were showing them doing like a course, like you would a crawler course. It was similar to a crawler course, and they were running them on that course. And you can actually do it. You have that, believe it or not, it looks like that, like a crawler course. You can try to do that too. You make a course like that for our monster trucks.
Yep. Swampers RC says good night all. So good night. And
good night.
Sir Chirpalot says now I need to do a Monster Bash video with my wheelies cheap.
Well, guys, I think
it's another car. That's a monster truck. That Willie's, the Wild Willie.
Yep.
Well,
cool.
I think I'm gonna call it a night.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Sang, for coming here and talk to us and show us your nice little collection. And next week, maybe we'll talk about on-road RC cars that they have in different chassis and things like that. So
sounds good.
Maybe we can show those really old ones that you have. And maybe Brad can bring one or two out.
I used to have some of those myself. Say, like the M chassis. Those are touring cars.
Yep. No, I got a few M chassis here. I got an M03, the oldest. So it's fun. Cool. Well, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week. And don't forget, go charge up some batteries and go break something. Because if you're not breaking anything, you're not having any fun.